Right now, ousted Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and his wife are making their first appearance in federal court in New York. Maduro wearing a blue jail jumpsuit. They were arraigned on drug trafficking and weapons charges after U.S. Special Forces captured them during a surprise military operation in Venezuela early Saturday morning. Fox's Kaylee Schuyler joins us live outside the courthouse in New York. Kaylee, what is the latest?
Hi, Tyler. So the arraignment started within the last 10 minutes, and notes from our producer inside the courtroom say that he walked into the courtroom wearing a black T-shirt and his hands were actually uncuffed. They say as soon as he sat down, he immediately started taking notes on a pad, and he actually tried to plead his case to the judge, and the judge immediately cut him off and said that's not what we're doing today. Now, we don't know how long this arraignment is going to last. They're usually brief. Usually Maduro, he will plead, he will give his plea, and then they will talk about bail, and then the next court date will be set. And it was early this morning, Maduro and his wife were transferred from a Brooklyn detention center where they're being held to the federal courthouse here in Lower Manhattan. They were heavily guarded, with the feds using helicopters and armored trucks to bring them to court. Maduro and his wife, along with their son and 3 other Venezuelan officials, are facing charges, including narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, and 2 weapons-related charges. They're accused of partnering with violent gangs and drug cartels to help flood the U.S. with thousands of tons of cocaine. On Saturday, President Trump announced the mission that led to Maduro and his wife's capture. This morning, FBI Director Kash Patel called the operation a victory in saving the lives of thousands of Americans.
Venezuela acted not only as a large and massive transshipment point by air and by sea, but also allowed drug traffickers to operate with reckless abandon inside their borders. And their direct target of deployment was the United States of America in large part. And that's what these charges, in my opinion, I believe will address.
Across the country, reactions have been mixed. Some people are praising President Trump. Actually, a woman just walked by and was crying and saying, "Thank you, Donald Trump." And right now, I'm not sure if you can hear some of the chants and the claps, but there is a protest happening just right here on the corner in front of the courthouse. Some people are holding signs that say, "Hands off Venezuela." Other people are saying, "Free President Maduro." So we'll see how this all pans out. It's been getting a little rowdy here with NYPD and the protesters, but we'll see how long this arraignment wraps up. We'll have updates later. In New York, Kaylee Schuyler, Fox 5 News.
And Kaylee, I was going to mention that I can hear it behind you during your entire report. Thank you for that update, and that's a story we're going to stay on top of. Georgia lawmakers swiftly reacted to Maduro's removal from power. Retiring Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who serves on the House Homeland Security Committee, weighed in on social media saying, quote, "If U.S. military action and regime change in Venezuela was really about saving American lives from deadly drugs, then why hasn't the Trump administration taken action against Mexican cartels," end quote. And Senator Raphael Warnock calling the attack a, quote, "huge escalation with no clear strategy." He warned the attack risks bringing more violence and instability to a nation of 28 million people, potentially causing more drug trafficking and more migration to the United States. And the arrest of Nicolas Maduro had some mixed reaction here in Metro Atlanta. The raid sparked rallies from both sides over the weekend.
Today we gather to show support to the President Donald Trump, to the precision of what he did, and the help that he's doing to us.
We are a nation of laws. This should have been congressionally authorized before going to war with a foreign country.
Demonstrators celebrated the raid, and they gathered at the Beltline yesterday while in Midtown. A group that calls the operation illegal shared their concerns. President Trump said Maduro's arrest was necessary to protect American security and economic interests.